I call this regular meeting of the Olmsted Township Board of Trustees to order at 7:57 PM. Will the fiscal officer please call the roll?
Yep, trustee Alton here,
Here.
trustee Cole,
Present.
and trustee Zver.
Sorry, present.
Legal counsel Jim Matthews. Here. And fiscal officer Brian Sled is also here. Why don't we stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. First up, we have public comment related to the agenda. I believe I only have one public comment that is related to the agenda, and that is from Mr. Chris Agnesopoulos regarding resolutions F, G, and H. I believe these are all nuisance abatement resolutions.
Yeah. All right, yeah, so my question is, when the nuisance abatements come out, we don't see any discussion amongst you guys about why you're gonna declare them a nuisance. So my question to you is, what criteria are you as trustees using? What information are you using to declare these properties a nuisance? Because searching through the Ohio Revised Code, I believe there's certain criteria that have to be met in order for these properties to legally be labeled a nuisance. So that's what I want to know from you guys, in your own words, what are you doing to establish a cause for this property being a nuisance? You know what I mean?
I appreciate the question. Thank you. I mean, I will say for myself that I trust our leadership team, and that's why I will allow Mr. Yalanowski, Law Director, and Mr. Reed, whichever one of you would like to address the question. More specifically.
The question was for the trustee.
I
would like to hear their answer as well.
I just, would anybody else like to add to my answer? No. Okay.
That's what I need to know.
Yeah, typically what I find is when you have one of these on the agenda, there's a report from someone. If it's a grass complaint, it'll show the condition. And there'll typically be photographs as well for the board in case you haven't seen the condition yourself, just to educate you about it. So ordinarily, it's my understanding the board operates off of a staff recommendation that there's a condition that's been identified that meets a nuisance standard. And typically it's a 505/87 standard, not the 86 for removal. And that's what the board has in front of it for consideration.
Okay, are you aware of the criteria that need to be met for that?
I'm aware that the standard under 87 is pretty much within the board's prerogative to find something to be a nuisance. That can be a range of things from aesthetic considerations to safety. So there's a broad range of considerations that the board's permitted to use. There isn't any fixed objective standard for a nuisance under that standard that they're relying on.
From what I read under the ORC was that the two criteria have to be, either has to be a public safety issue or a public health issue. And there has to be a complaint filed, and only 3 individuals can do that. Would be the fire chief, the county health inspector, and a building commissioner, not a building worker. It has to be a commissioner, which the township doesn't have. So that's my understanding, according to the Ohio Revised Code. Those are the criteria that need to be met before the township board can label a property a nuisance.
Yeah, see, the predicament we're having is we're talking past each other because you're looking at a different code.
Right.
So the two codes that are typically used by a township are Revised Code 505/86 and then 505/87. 86 has exactly what you're referencing. In other words, the finding of a nuisance in order to proceed with either like a board up or removal of a property, it has to be supported by a finding from a fire inspector, fire chief, health department, or any other agency that's responsible under chapter 37 for enforcing the code. So you're exactly right. But see, these nuisances are typically handled under the 87 provision, which is broader. It does not require any type of support from a professional like that. And I think the reason between the distinguishing feature between the two codes is the one is pretty severe. It can involve a tear down of a structure. That's why there needs to be a different record. In fact, under that code, you might be familiar with the General Assembly changed it a couple of years ago to add another safeguard feature is that there's a right to a hearing. But But under the 87, which is more relaxed, if you will, it doesn't involve quite that severe of a potential penalty. Ordinarily, it involves like a repair, a mowing, a tree removal. And I'm not trying to suggest those are minimal things to require by nuisance, but they're far less significant than a potential removal. And that's why they don't have the same safeguards. So I'm glad you raised the question, and that way we were able to clarify exactly what the board's operating under. But if the board ever has to deal with a removal, they'll use the 86 procedure, which includes the option for a hearing. So it's a good point of distinction.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Seeing no other public comment related to the agenda, we will move on to the report from our township administrator, Mr. Yalanowski. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This, is this on?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Is it on?
All right, done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is my report for August 1st, 2024. I want to welcome everybody back. We had a good summer recess, if you want to call it that. There's a lot of things that got done, a lot of stuff you'll see on the agenda tonight that, we had to hold off until this meeting. So it was a good summer recess, but I'm glad to be back in action here and looking forward to the coming meetings. I want to let everyone know we were rated number 4 according to SafeWise in the top 20 safest cities. So that's a very high standard. So thank you to our police and fire department for that, for turning into that. I just want to let everybody know, in case anybody's out there that's qualified, we are looking for an electrical inspector. Our building department is looking for a full-time or part-time electrical inspector. So please spread the word if you want to submit applications to our new building commissioner. I do want to mention also about our nuisance abatement, so I'm kind of glad that they come up. This time of year, we are getting a slew of complaints. Probably 90% of them pertain to grass exceeding 6 inches. That is our standard here. So just want to make everyone aware of that. Just, keep up on the grass. And if you do have any complaints, by all means, submit those to the township. I want to introduce, I don't believe our fire chief has been here for an official meeting. So I do want to introduce our new fire chief, Mr. Matt Schneider over there to my right. So Matt, welcome. I'm not going to steal your thunder. It's great having him on board. He's calm the waters and just a very professional individual. I do want to mention he is going to have his swearing in ceremony this next Saturday, August 10th at 11 a.m. at the fire station. I also want to recognize the hiring of another good individual, Justin Reed, our building commissioner here to my left. So we'll all welcome him to the top. He's been trying to keep his head above water, so I applaud him and trying to give him everything he needs because I want to see him stick around here for a while. So, so we got some good news. The township did receive $150,000 from Colorado County through the CDBG block grant. This was for the Shady Road sidewalk. So we had a second look. They gave us a second look, and we were able to secure those funds. So the goal would be to get that sidewalk installed from the dog park to Stearns Road by the end of this year. So we're working towards that. We just found out that we received $22,736 for the Healthy Urban Tree Canopy. That was through the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission. And that will be used at our nature trail and dog park. We plan to install 128 trees over the next year and a half. I know our service department is really looking forward to that, and it'll be a good thing. Another good news, we did receive $250,000 through House Bill 2 for the nature trail and dog park. Those funds will be used to construct a pavilion, to plant trees, build a restroom, and install lighting throughout the park. So we're excited about that. Want to thank Representative Brian Sweeney for assisting with that. So we're looking forward to those funds. And just a couple of additional items. We did complete some stormwater improvements between Shady and Stearns Road. So at the last meeting, the board did approve a contract for extreme excavating. They did replace the pipe and do some channel dredging off the property of Stearns. That was about $41,000, just under $41,000. We did submit that to NEORSD for cost share. That process in the application to get it reimbursed. Our service department, rest of the channel dredging, so south of that, Too Shady. Here, I believe Mr. Williams is going into the end of August sort of timeframe. I just want to make mention of a couple IT notable upgrades. We had Simvey recently replace the police server. There were some major concerns with that, so I thank the board for, allowing us to go ahead and move forward with those upgrades. And then we are also, I want to thank the board for this, in the process of switching all of our buildings over to fiber. So we are looking forward to the fast connection speeds and interconnections between the departments. We did provide notice of cancellation to Southwest Dispatch, terminating our agreement at the end of this year. On the agenda tonight will be a contract for North Olmsted for dispatch. Just want to make everyone aware of that. And then the last thing I have this evening, and I'll recognize Mr. Tony Ramos out in the crowd there from NOPEC. Just want to let everyone know about NOPEC's opt-in. So over the next couple of meetings, you'll see some more about this. But I'll just read this briefly. The opt-in so they're moving forward with an opt-in program, but the program remains opt-out by default, but the addition of an opt-in provision allows newly eligible customers, such as new residents, to enroll more quickly within 1 to 2 billing cycles. The provision also helps those who left NOPEC and want to return, or those switching from another supplier by reducing the enrollment time. So, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you want to have Mr. Ramos say anything.
Sure, yeah, we can recognize him after your report, that's fine.
That's all I have this evening.
All right, any questions for Mr. Yalanowski from the board?
No.
Nope. Thank you. Tony, floor is yours. You're welcome to take the podium if you'd like. We'll make sure this is added to the minutes that we heard a presentation for this.
Good evening, trustees and members of the administration. I'm Tony Ramos from the Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council. What's before you this evening is something that will improve the level of service that residents currently receive from NOPEC. It specifically relates to the natural gas aggregation program that we manage for the township. Presently, if a resident last year during the natural gas enrollment period, if they opted out and decided later that they wanted to actually join the aggregation program, current process is pretty arduous for them to do that, and it can take a significant amount of time. And especially during the winter time, we've received complaints from residents who want to join, but due to the current configuration of the process, it takes a long time. So the legislation before you really improves that customer service for that resident and drastically reduces the amount of time it takes for them to rejoin the gas aggregation program. It doesn't change anything about the opt-out model. Residents will still get normal enrollment numbers and have the choice to not participate. But if they decide they want to make a different choice at a later time, this makes the process much easier for them. We are required by state law that we have to conduct 2 public hearings. I've shared with you in writing, those are tentatively, we're going to schedule those on August 21st. There's 2, so there would be 1 midday and 1 in the evening. But that gives residents an opportunity to come and ask questions or share any concerns. But really all this is doing is making it easier for them to come back to the gas program. Right now, if you're in the electric program and you leave in June and you decide you want to come back in September, it's an easy phone call. We're just matching the gas program with that same process. So I've shared materials with you in advance that kind of detail all of that stuff, but I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Good. Thank you. We appreciate you coming in, Tony, and it's always good to be able to make things easier for folks.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll move on to trustee and committee reports. I believe we're going to dispense with trustees Vera and trustee Cole reports. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct. I do have just a brief report on the cemetery board. I wanted to note that I did meet with the cemetery board chairman and Scott Sorry, the other member of the board from Olmsted Falls on June 28th. I have some meeting minutes from that I've included. and have sent to Gary so that way he can make sure included in the minutes for everybody to review. The two key highlights are that there are kind of some significant maintenance issues with the existing office, which is an old house. And just as a result of a culmination of things, we've agreed to move forward to actually build another office. We're still fleshing out what that will look like and want to obviously do it for a minimal cost, but that is something that I think the board felt pretty strongly about, just as costs continue to mount with the current property. And the other thing was that the contractor who maintains the cemetery struck a water line, which, you know, is never good when it's a cemetery and you have graves that can get washed out. So, you know, did hear some complaints from folks about that, and just wanted to make sure that that was addressed. But all that will be attached in the minutes here because it was discussed at our formal meeting. So that is my report for the cemetery board. And I just want to say it's good to be back. I appreciate everybody's efforts. And honestly, I feel like between the leadership team and the trustees, we ended up doing probably more work during June and July than before we were actually on recess, just because of a culmination of things. And really, really excited to welcome our new fire chief, Matt Schneider, and our new building commissioner, Justin Reed. I think they're both gonna really help us move forward in the best interest of the community. And we're really grateful that we're able to welcome them here and hope that they stay with us for years to come and keep things moving forward here. So with that, that concludes my report. And I will move on to department reports and start with the fire department. Chief Schneider, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everybody. I want to start by saying it's for the welcome all the residents have been really nice welcoming everyone in the township. It's been a very nice transition for me. Starting out with personnel, we have congratulations to firefighter Mike Foreman and Chad Bell. They completed the probationary period and they've been on the department for over a year. I want to welcome firefighter Mark Pullick. He was hired May 20th, 2024, and he was with the Olmsted Falls Fire Department as a part-timer, and now he's with us as a full-time. We've also hired part-time firefighter Leos Vermouly, and he started on July 29th this week. We want to congratulate Lieutenant Dave Dahlhausen and firefighter Anthony Kukovic for completing their 21st year with the Olmsted Township Fire Department. And Lieutenant Joe Baking has completed his 16th year with the Olmsted Township Fire Department. For training, we have EMS trainings conducted in Southwest, and it was currently on geriatrics. Lieutenant Vanderbilt has completed his Ohio Task Force 1 training and his technical rescue cert training. As far as equipment and facilities, we are currently doing some construction. There's a new floor being installed, some vinyl plank flooring throughout, and we're getting some other updates as we go moving forward. As far as the grants update, we have Ohio Ambulance Impact Grant that was awarded for $8,700, and it's going to be distributed equally among the staff, part-timers and full-timers. The Ohio State Fire Marshal Grant application has been filed, and we're awaiting their decision. The Ohio EMS grant has been awarded, and the fire department plans on using the fund to purchase a new intubation equipment. And the SAFER grant for this year has been submitted, and the awards will be announced at the end of this year. And we currently have 3 firefighters that were hired off the last fiscal SAFER grant, and now we're waiting to see if we can get an additional SAFER grant. We conducting Tri-C students are doing their ride time with the fire department as part of the paramedic program. So they ride with us to get their training, and that's continuing. As far as statistics, total listings for 2024 so far is 1,390. It's currently up to 1,400 now, but we've had 48 fire-related calls, 112 EMS calls. We've had 4 MVAs, 1 gas leak, 1 hazmat call, 5 lift assists, 4 smoke detectors installs, and 5 car seat installs, and 10 canceled and wrap calls. Currently, we have 22 total smoke detectors installed for the year 2024, and we have 30 car seats that we've installed for the year. And I want to make a public comment here that if we do offer the smoke detector program, the Red Cross provides us the smoke detectors. We will come to your residence and install them. And we'll do a fire safety plan with you and go over it, but if it's something that's appealing to anybody out there, we'll be more than happy to address that need. And that's all I have for our report.
Thank you, Chief Snyder. Any questions from the board?
No.
Oh, I have a quick one,
Sure.
just on the SAFER grant. As you noted with, the receipt of a previous SAFER grant, a very critical, safety levy renewal going before voters this November. It's, obviously critical that we secure this additional grant in order to continue to, grow the department to meet the needs of the community in the most fiscally responsible ways. And I've kind of vaguely, I think before you came on, talked a little bit with Administrator Yalanowski and some others in the fire department about securing some letters of support from our federal officials. So in particular, Senator Sherrod Brown, Congressman Max Miller, working with their offices to get a letter of support from FEMA. That's something that we did during the last grant cycle, as we were kind of getting nervous. It took a lot longer than we would have liked to actually receive that first award. And I think there were some snafus along the way with Congress. Do you feel up to working with Administrator Yalanowski to make sure that we get those letters of support for this critical application?
Most definitely, sir, and it's going to be critical for us to get the resources we're going to need funding. And the grants really do make a difference and help to alleviate the tax burden and to put us in a better position to provide that quality care and serve the market.
Okay. Thanks, Chief.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we'll move on to the Service Department. Director Williams, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. Good to be back. Service Department's report for August 1st. We'll start off on the Stearns Road project. This past Tuesday, we had our last progress meeting. It looks to be the second week of August, they will be reopening Stearns Road. Once it's open, they'll be dismantling the traffic signal on Jennings and Bay. So that signal will be gone, won't be reinstalled. The stop sign will be as it was. So good news. I appreciate everyone. It's been a long project, but we can see the end. It's been a while also. I wanted to give the board our county force agreement total through July is $293,937.58. So we're pretty much on par. We had a real good July. As far as township, what are my guys into? I'd be remiss not to talk about the nature trail dog park. It has been over the top well received. Numerous people are utilizing it. Many complaints, compliments are bad. And the complaints were coming from my guys because how we know how much it's used is by how much they have to pick up out of the garbage cans and the poop station. So that was where I was going with the complaints. So my apologies. But my crew has been over the top. We planted 40 trees. The vegetation control there, they're just doing a phenomenal job. I can't say enough about my crew, and it's just beautiful. So I thank the board. I thank the administrator for your work and making this happen. Really an awesome place. Also, we are doing extensive ditching on the northwest end of Shady Road, all the way from Jennings west to the end of that roadway. Once that's all completed, I will be directing the county to jet out all the culvert pipes, and that project will be basically completed. Also, the crew has done multiple areas of mill and fill repairs on Shady. We plan to do more. That's what we had started the last few weeks. This past Monday and Tuesday is one of the hardest things we do is branch shipping. We performed that Monday and Tuesday, as I said. We filled 3 trucks as usual, about 60 yards of debris. I do not have, the participants or the residents. I apologize. I know I always have that. But it's always well received. Just some facilities and equipment. The police, we're still working on the quotes for the police expansion. I think there's some that is on the agenda tonight. Good thing. CEI is prepared to remove the existing pole at that property. So that's looking good. Unfortunately, as far as equipment, I'm still waiting for my leak backs. I've heard promise after promise. So we'll keep struggling along to get those delivered. One good news is that we went out today to Judco where our new snow and ice truck is being put together and it's almost complete. So some bad news with some good news. Fall trash drop off will be this Saturday at our service department from 8 to 12. That's where you can bring any bulk item to our service department. And we will have 3 containers there, 30-yard containers, and you can utilize that. Also, this past week, we delivered 3,920 pounds of household hazardous waste to the Cuyahoga County Solid Waste District. That's basically all the hazard waste that we collect 3 times a month. We take it to that facility and they take it and recycle it. So that's a pretty good amount. So that's another program that's well utilized. Training, we did innovation. I did an innovation exchange webinar, visualization of tools and decision making. And then also all the staff once a year that completed their Ohio drug-free workplace training. Mr. Chair, that is my report unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Director. I have 2, but I want to defer to both of you first if you have any.
I have 2 quick ones. On the county force account total, how's that compare to last year at this point? No, offhand?
We'll give that to you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely higher. I mean, in the past, we were doing about 500,000. So usually
Yeah.
halfway through the year, it'd be like 250-ish or so.
Yeah.
We're able to go up to 650 this year
Right.
because of the new agreement. So, after end of July, being at 300 or so is, pretty much right on track. Like,
Yeah. Absolutely.
said, and, I think we'll be able to go back and ask for those more funds.
Yeah.
And get those. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's good.
No, great work to you and your guys on that area. Keep it up.
Excellent. And the other one was the existing pole at the police station. Any tentative date from CEI?
As you can imagine, that is a process.
Yeah.
No offense if anyone's here from Cleveland Water, but they're traveling into that realm of. So, it's a process, even though they're just taking it on.
Right.
Go to engineering and then they send you the invoice. And what's interesting with CEI, you have to pay it first. They will not do anything without paying first.
That's a problem.
So we did send the check.
Okay.
I think we might have sent that earlier this week.
Okay.
So once they receive it, then it goes to schedule. So we're not even on a schedule yet until they receive the check.
Okay.
We're getting close.
Progress. Okay. Thanks, Eric. Well.
And the 2 that I have, I mean, I just want to note, like the leaf back discussion, I feel like has gone on for 3 years. I know you're all on board for doing that in-house and having more control over the process and doing it for less, saving taxpayer money, providing better service. It's just, I just want to reiterate that, anything that we can do to try to make sure that we're actually able to do in-house leaf pickup this year. I find it pretty remarkable that these machines are still not ready. After last year, we thought they'd be ready and had to, at the last minute, enter into a contract and just would like to avoid that if possible this year.
I don't want to tell you any guarantees. I did speak to him and all I can say is that they have all the parts for the machine. Right now, it's basically powder coating. The actual self-containment unit is completed. It's on 1 unit. They have the Cummins engine, diesel engine. The other Cummins for the second one is in Texas on its way. So I'm basically told for sure I've been told that before, 1 by August and 2 for sure September.
Okay.
So we're getting, He's gonna make me sweat.
Yeah.
Closer than it's ever been.
Gary, it looks like you wanted to chime in.
Well, I just want to make just like a kind of an announcement here. So you'll see on the agenda some towers for our police department. I think in the future, there's been a lot of, things are being delayed nowadays. So we need to restructure how we're, purchasing things. So we need commitments in our contracts and things of that nature. So we do not run into this.
Yeah.
And legally, we could work with Jim if it's even possible. If there's any, thing we can do on our end to get these commitments, if they're not met, maybe there's a penalty involved or something, because you're right, we may have to now look at going back, more expense,
More
going back
time.
to a contractor who, let's be honest, they're not getting the contract anymore, so how willingly are they gonna, sign us up for leaf pickup? And we've already committed that we are gonna do this, so it just puts us in a tough position. I think we need to look and reframe how we purchase things and things of that nature.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I guess the other question that I have separately, Eric, is, the administrator and I have been talking a little bit about Sharp Road. I know that, that's been a reoccurring discussion. It's more patch than road in many places, and your guys do the best that they can. But, with the continued growth of the community, I think it's really important that we advocate and be on the record with the county in terms of trying to move that forward as quickly as possible. So my ask would be, and I'm just reiterating what I've already told the administrator earlier, was if you could work with him and work with Director Matthews and, kind of come together to come up with a letter that kind of makes our position known on Sharp and drives the conversation forward, if nothing else, I would really appreciate that.
Okay.
So.
Anybody else? You're good? Good.
All right, thank you, Eric. Next up, police department. Okay, keep at it.
Good evening, everyone. 2 months off and I'm finally back. Same thing, I'd like to just recognize my personnel, and there's a couple things I don't have up there for personnel, but I've added them. And I just want to say thank you to a couple things. My drone officers, who just were recently called out for Lorraine County SO to assist with the missing juvenile that, well, it was actually the juvenile was suicidal. And I know that our drone team was instrumental in help finding this individual. They flew the drone out and they actually put it in the field where the individual came out, and the sheriff department was able to then make sure that they took care of this individual and they got the help that he needed. But it's just good to know that our equipment that we use and that we have is put in play, and we're there to assist other agencies. And hats off to my guys that went out there and did that last week. I'm so thankful for just everything that they do and their professionalism. And I know that sometimes there's other agencies that get equipment and they have good intent, but they don't really put it into play. One thing I will say about Olmsted Township is that the equipment that we get, we train with, we utilize, and it's been very successful in multifaceted ways. The other thing too is I really want to thank my e-bike operators that have been out there riding around in this hot weather. They were even out today. I'm telling these guys to stay hydrated. They're out there riding during pop-up showers and everything else. They're troopers. So, and I want to thank them for being out there and doing this. I tell them, I'm like, I'm sure you guys want to go out. It's, the heat index and that. No, we like riding. We want to do this. We want to be in the developments. So, thank you very much to all 5 of those guys that go out and do that every day. I have somebody that has a 21-year anniversary as well. That's going to be Sergeant Brian Tyler. Brian is our sergeant that is on second platoon, and Brian is incredible. He was one of our detectives and got promoted a couple years back. And thank you, Brian, for all your hard service. The next thing is we do a lot of training, and we've had a couple officers that recently just went to impaired campus training that was put on by OSP. So the State Highway Patrol Academy, they went down for a day. We had officers in Titus, Kravnik, and Blatnick went to that. So once again, just roadside impairment. They're just being taught what to look for. So that above and beyond alcohol. Also, we had a couple of our officers that are firearms, our trainers, which are Blatnick, Baywood, and Kirby. They attended the active threat interdiction by 88 Tactical.
That was a 32-hour course, and they have a lot of information they're bringing back to the rest of our officers to pass along and keep them safe as well. A couple different things too. We're looking at a lot of different equipment, and a lot of this equipment that we look at it comes at the debrief from a hot wash of actual calls. We look at things and we say, hey, look, what's out there that could make our officers safer or the community. A couple things is, one is a training piece of equipment, and it's from Unit Solutions. They're out of Akron, and it's a non-lethal training rifle, which is incapable, if you will, of chambering a live round, and it's actually not classified as a firearm by the ATF. These help our officers do force-on-force training, similar to another platform called Simunition. This is a little less expensive than Simunition, and the beauty of it is it cannot chamber a live round. And so we can do force-on-force, which is fun but not fun because you're using airsoft rounds or paint marking rounds. So guys get a taste of what it's like to have a little bit of stress and do real world training. That's what to say. Yeah, we're thankful we got one unit so far, and we're going to get more. The other thing we've looked at before, and we know from some recent calls that would really help us, is a throwable camera. It's actually about the size of a softball. It's by a company called Bounce Imaging. We're getting quotes from them. It's a throwable tactical camera ball. It provides the ability not only to visually see our clear areas for our officers, but it also provides the ability to communicate as well. They can hear and also see. It's ruggedized. It can go on a painter pole, if you will, and also just like a tether. A lot of times we have to check certain areas, and this will help us do it in a safer manner, and also just be able to de-escalate situations and hopefully, deal with those where we don't have to use force. The other thing too is we're looking at handheld binoculars from FLIR. We'd like to T&E those and get check with the local rep to get some pricing on those. Recently just had somebody that was from Brunswick. They went to the Verizon store and they committed armed robbery there and zip tied the people there. And lo and behold, where they end up in Olmsted Township. So they end up in Olmsted Township with finger phones. Our officers were capable of catching one of the three bad guys, and the other two are probably going to give out the names as well. We used our drones. We had our SWAT team out. One thing that we found would really help is just having handheld binoculars that are going to provide thermal imaging. So because a couple of them were hiding in some dense areas, we did have K9. But once again, using this type of equipment enhances our safety and also enhances it for the public as well. A couple other things miscellaneous. It was brought to our attention that our speed sign on Lewis Road wasn't working. Turns out either one of two things. Either I think squirrel either crawled up on the pole and chewed the wire, or somebody vandalized it, but it's back up in service. We got it up and running. A couple other things. Our building is about 15 years old now. We have 3 furnaces in there. 2 of them are the original. We have those replaced by Reiki Heating and Cooling. So they're more efficient. They help reduce our utility costs, and we're thankful that we got that done. And then also coming up soon, Dan and Titus is part of our OBI task force. Dan informed me that they're going to be having their drive sober and get pulled over event at Olmsted Falls High School on Tuesday, August 13th from 1 o'clock to 2 p.m. And participants will have a chance to kick field goals wearing what we deem them as beer goggles, but they're actually called fatal vision impairment goggles. And so what it does is for the person that's wearing that, those goggles will then it gives them an impact lesson of impaired driving and what would it be like. So they simulate a behavior of the individual being impaired and the different levels of their blood alcohol content. So have fun with it, but at the same time, it's a learning experience. And then also we moved Coffee with the Chief. They used to be on Thursdays. We switched that to now Wednesdays. But the next one is going to be August 28th at 9 a.m. Please come and join us. It's always a great time, and we try to have great topics. Matt and I, and everyone's welcome. Please attend. Lastly, is just going to be our statistics from the July 16th through August 1st. We had 398 CAT entries. We had 12 incident reports. We had 46 motor vehicle accidents, 4 actual arrests, and 31 citations, and our communication at 450. Other than that completes my report, unless there's any questions.
Any questions? No.
No, I was gonna ask him one.
Sure.
Do you know who you're working with the FLIR? Because I know a gentleman who sells. FLIR.
No, I don't. So if there's somebody that
I know, his name is Mike Gallagher. He lives
That'd be
over in
awesome.
Falls Point.
Oh, that'd be great.
So I'll hook you up with that.
Okay, yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Great.
Much appreciated.
Well, and I just, yeah,
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Chief, the OBI task force, event, that is open to the public?
That is.
Do you have to register or anything?
There is nothing to register from what I believe. We will, put something out on our Facebook as well on it. If there's any other further information that we can provide, we'll make sure that we blast that out as well.
Okay, this is the toughest question. Are you gonna participate?
I want to get the vision impairment goggles.
thank you. I just want to applaud you in terms of the energy efficiency and the furnaces. I mean, we make these investments now, so that way the township taxpayer dollars are saved for, a very long time. So I
Yeah.
applaud you for doing that. And also just wanted to say, I finally, did my ride along after 3 years.
That's great.
And I just want to say thank you to Sergeant Spagnola. Leo was great. Really appreciated the, opportunity to go out with him for a while and, really enjoyed chatting with him. And certainly we applaud Sergeant Tyler too. And I mean, 21 years of service anywhere is a really big deal. And it's just remarkable to me. You're seeing all these guys, not just in police, but also in fire and the longevity of service. I think that's what we strive for as a government and as a board is to, create that kind of atmosphere, not just for police and fire, but for the rest of our departments as well. So just to give our congratulations to Sergeant Tyler.
Absolutely. I'll pass it along.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, next up, building department. Mr. Reed.
All right. Well, thank you, trustees and members of the audience for showing up here today. And I'll kind of keep it short and sweet. So basically, we're all new in the building department. We have a new staff, myself, I've been here for a little less than a month. I think Friday will be my month-long stay here. We have a permit clerk, Christine Haggerty. She's been here for, I believe, a couple months, about 2 months. And then we have a new zoning inspector, Eric Arco, and he's also been here a little less than 2 months, I believe. So we're all pretty fresh and new, and we're trying to make sure we bring everybody in the community a high level of customer service, and so that's what we're going to strive to do. So part of that with our internal projects, one of the things we're looking at is exploring new software. So from what I noticed when we got involved, it looks like the building department has used a couple different softwares over the last year or two. So the information is in multiple places, and it's really hard to extract that information and do it in a timely manner. So we're trying to find a new software provider that we can use long-term, that'll provide hopefully, quick service for us and also the residents. We're hoping that we can find a way that folks can apply for permits online a little bit easier. They don't have to come into the office as much and try to expedite those services. So that's one of our goals. That's kind of priority one for me right now. Personnel, we are currently seeking to get a part-time and full-time electrical building inspector. It's hard to find electrical inspectors out there right now. So, we're willing to take someone part-time or full-time, whatever we can find, but we could certainly utilize the help in the building department. As you're all probably aware, there are several developments happening right now and potentially some developments in the near future. The demand is high. Use the help. So if you know anybody, feel free to send them our way. And then digital records. So you'll see on the agenda tonight, they're looking to get approval to hire a company, Plan Cycle. They've done our digital records in the past, and we're looking to have them scan in a bunch of our hard copies so that we can access it quicker. Right now, if we need to access information, we got to go through many different avenues, file cabinets, find the information. It's harder to respond to questions. It's harder to perform plan reviews. So if we can digitize as much of that information as possible, we'll be able to access it quickly. And hopefully in the future, we'll be able to digitize the records ourselves with the newer software that we're looking at
That's fine. That's great.
And then, lastly, with the subdivision update, this was just a recent thing, Willow Grove Development, they received grading permits, this week, so they should be out there soon. Grading, they should not be performing any, actual construction, it's just grade level, they're not going to be building any structures yet. But they can get started on moving some dirt and making some improvement there. So that concludes my report. I'm pretty short and sweet, so if you have any questions, I'll certainly respond.
Any questions from the board? No? No? Gary?
I just want to say you've done a great job, Justin. I hope the board appreciates that. He was given a tough situation. He's come in and done a great job. You guys probably know the township the building department in particular operates more like a city.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, probably more than some cities. And, you know, the volume of permits, the volume of complaints and things of that nature, I thought it would be appropriate to give you at least some recognition, Justin, because you've done a great job so far.
Yeah.
And again, if there's anything you need from me or the board, more than happy to help you out. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate that, and kind of to continue on with that, I know I didn't give any statistics in the report this time. I haven't been here a whole month, so I wanted to, get a feel for what's going on. But I can say, since I've been here in this month, I believe I'm a little under 80 applications received in a month's time, which is very, very, very significant for a department this size. And that's certainly why we could utilize some extra assistance. Also along the lines of the personnel and seeking the electrical inspector, currently we are using a outside consulting service to perform those electrical inspections, which can cause difficulties in scheduling. So if somebody calls in, they want an inspection, let's say for tomorrow, it's going to be very difficult because we have to reach out to the consultant, see if they can get in here to do it.
And it's very expensive.
It's expensive, and to come in for, one inspection, 2 inspections, that's very difficult and costly. So we're hopeful to find somebody that we can have in-house, so we can provide a better level of customer service. Also, it will improve our efficiency and our effectiveness with the community and performing the jobs.
Yeah, I mean, you said it yourself. It's all about responsiveness. It's all about customer service. I mean, sadly, those are things that our building department has lacked for a long time. And I think that's been a source of great anxiety on the part of the board. And I just want to say how grateful we are to have you aboard, especially for your first report. You had no jitters. I think you're going to be excellent, and you'll have I know the full board feels this way, but you'll have every resource you need to provide the quality of service that our residents have come to expect and unfortunately have not been receiving, but we are going to get there, and that is thanks to you and your hard work. So please just know how appreciated you are and how grateful we are to have you.
Thank you very much. We got a long road ahead of us, so we'll keep working.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
All right, no economic development director tonight. We do have legal counsel Jim Matthews.
Let's do 2 minutes for legal updates. I'm sure that will be very interesting to everyone, right? Yeah, I expected
We've been waiting.
Yeah, there's from our department, the legal department, there's very little to report publicly because typically things are either covered by the privilege. So I'm not going to be publicly announcing what's going on, or it involves preparation and review of documents, which again isn't something that the public cares much about. I will tell you about 2 significant things that happened over the summer relating to township legal matters generally. And again, it's just for more informational purposes. First, earlier in the year, we reported on the township omnibus bill that had been introduced. That has a number of features to it, some modernization of township law, some changes to notices, some funding opportunities in it. Last I checked, it did pass the House, and I believe it's off to the hearing process in the Senate. So we'll continue to watch that. And if anybody's really interested in it, of course, you can watch the developments on the omnibus bill too. Maybe later. Maybe you'll just wait for my report. But hopefully that will pass and provide some modernization to some township legal functions. Then secondly, the township has been a member of the OTA, the OTARMA pool, Brian, for how many years, do you know?
Oh, longer than I've been here, yeah, so
For many
More than-
years.
8 years, so it's been, yeah.
And as part of that group, it's a good advocacy, part of that function of the OTA function, advocating for township legal interests. One of the closely held and closely developed legal interests at the township government level deals with its immunities. You may have heard at some of the meetings, immunities are announced or talked about generally. And as a general rule, township government, as long as it's performing one of its governmental functions, is entitled to immunity from legal liability. There are certain exceptions or exemptions built into the law. Generally speaking, there are 5 exemptions. 3 of those are pretty significant exemptions because they relate to fire, police, road functions of the government. More recently, the B4 exemption in the code deals with what liability exposure there is for townships in the management of its properties and buildings, reached the Ohio Supreme Court. So I had the privilege of arguing the other 2 exemption cases that made it to the Supreme Court over the past 6 or 8 years. Fortunately, I was successful on those 2 in limiting the scope of the exemption. This more recent argument that I had on the B4 exemption was pretty brutal from some of the justices questioning, but I still think in all likelihood, the court is going to narrowly construe that exemption too, for purposes of preserving the immunities that townships are entitled to. It's an important advocacy role working through OTARMA and through the OTA, again, which the township is a member of. There are very significant reasons for immunities at the government level, protecting resources, providing for predictability in the discharge of government functions. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Most likely the update on the omnibus bill will probably be late fall, and we'll probably have a decision on the Supreme Court's case in the late fall also. So I'll give you that update also. So there's the exciting update of what's going on in township law around the state.
Thank you, Jim.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
Fiscal Officer Brian Gillette.
Yep, so we just have the 2 major things that are going on right now is we have our audit that we do every 2 years. So that's going on as we speak. They usually do it a little bit later in the year. They started off early, then they're finishing up here late. So that's going well. And then we also have a single audit that we're going to actually have this year also because of the ARPA funds and stuff like that. So they did decide that they had to do that. The good thing is anything that we spent was all under one code. And so we should pass with flying colors on that also.
Good.
So anyway, that's really all I have up to update right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. All right, next up, we'll move on to old business. I'll try to move through things as quickly as possible, just in the interest of time. I know folks are here a little bit later than we normally would be and would like because of that original public hearing. But first up, we have a correction on the meeting minutes of May 16th, 2024, changing the resolution 49-2024, which is, I believe, improperly titled real estate purchase. It should be authorized approval of payments and handling of routine matters during recess of regular meeting schedule. I think that was just an issue on the agenda, correct? Not in terms of the actual resolution itself.
No change, just title.
Okay, I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and to approve correcting the meeting minutes of May 16th, trustee Alton
Yes.
and trustee Cole.
Yes.
And trustee Zare.
Yes.
All right, next up, we've got the Olmsted Falls Athletic Booster Program ad in 2023. It was, we did $425. We're gonna do $500 for a full page ad. I will move to approve.
I'll second.
And to approve the Olmsted Falls Athletic Booster Program ad, trustee Alton,
Yes.
trustee Cole,
Yes.
trustee Zare.
Yes.
Next up, we have, Olmsted Falls Music Association patron, in 2023, we did $375. I don't know if we have a preference on this, Gary, or just the existing amount.
I believe just the existing amount, yeah.
I will move to approve the, Music Association patron, in the amount of $375 unless anybody else feels differently.
No, second.
Okay, and to approve the Olmsted Falls Music Association patron donation, trustee Alton
Yes.
and trustee Cole
Yes.
and trustee Zare.
Yes.
And to approve, I'll move to approve the utility proposal for the purchase of 2 police cruisers, Chevy Tahoes. The loan is with the First Federal of Lakewood, and I know the chief has been looking for these for a long time, so.
Mr. Chairman? Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, Chief, can you just briefly describe why we're going with this different vendor?
The Tahoes?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Ford's been great. I really do like them, but the only thing is that there's just space limited. And as you heard in my presentation today, I talked a lot about equipment. We take the stuff out in the field, it does no good if it's just sitting back at station. So when we started 20 years ago, what we had was some cones, some tape, barrier tape. We're taking out drones, we're taking out thermal imaging units. We have AEDs in our cars. I mean, we're taking, medical equipment, we're taking stuff that we need, ballistic shields and that. So we need the size, we need the capability to have this, just more room, if you will, to be able to pack some of this equipment. So it serves the community being best out on the roadway, and having a vehicle like this really enhances that.
Can you speak to why we're going with this company as opposed to?
Utilitech as well?
Utilitech.
Yeah, Utilitech. So with them, and hats off to my VMO, Ned Kovic, Ned located this company. We have been experiencing the trouble that every other agency in Greater Cleveland has been dealing with, and that's trying to use the state vendors, if you will. It's just, they can't get them. We've tried Tim Lally, we've tried Aurora, Ganley, they can't get them as well. Pretty much, I've called every other chief and everyone is in the same problem. It's just, these places just can't get the vehicles in. And you're given a ticket number and it's a waiting game that they just can't fill. And so it's, since COVID, with the chips and everything else, and just the way things are being produced, it's a sad state of affairs, if you will. So luckily, we were able to find a vendor in VA, Utilitech, who not only does the vehicles, but also does the upfit and puts the equipment in as well. So. Thank you.
Great. I've made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and to approve the Utilitech proposal, trustee Alton,
Yes.
trustee Cole,
Yes.
trustee Bear.
Yeah.
The next item is 6993 Fitch Road, notice to remove obstruction. Is there any discussion on this item? Good. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and to approve the Fitch Road notice to remove obstruction, trustee Alton,
Yes.
trustee Cole,
Yes.
and trustee Bear.
Yes.
I believe the NOPEC opt-in gas, this is the, it looks like this is just the letter, so we'll take up the actual thing at the next meeting. Or is it for-
So we'll have a public meeting on the 21st. There'll be 2 opportunities. We'll advertise for both of those.
Got it.
One's in the afternoon, one's in the early evening. And then there will be a resolution to follow, probably the first meeting in September, but we'll confirm all that. So yeah,
Perfect.
No board action
Yep,
with this.
no action here, that's what I thought. No board action on the next one either, but outstanding citizen award to Peg and Jim Schmucky in recognition of their service, dedication, devotion to the Olmsted community. I know they do great work with Christians in Action and other community work. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, it's great. Next is the SE blueprint proposal, building department document scanning. I believe, do I need to move an amount on this, or is this just,
There should have been an amount, but
I don't see it either. And Jim, can we move to approve the quote without an amount?
For a purchase order, you should probably have at least a not to exceed.
Not to exceed, yeah,
I
so
don't know how much that is, so.
if you, I can pull it up if you can give me.
could you, yeah, take your time, yeah. Are you okay if we keep going while he pulls it up? Or you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll come back
to
and get that approved.
Yep, that's fine. So we'll just skip that item and come back to it. New business item H, Empire Paving Proposal Police Department Parking Lot in the amount of $42,000, significantly less than the original quote that we received from a different vendor. So I'm very comfortable with this. Tom, did you want to move it?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and to approve the Empire paving proposal for the parking lot, trustee Alton,
Yes.
trustee Cole,
Yes.
trustee Bear.
Yep.
I don't think there's a board action required on this either, but notice about retail liquor permits. The Ohio Revised Code provides for the ability to reject the renewal of liquor permits. I don't like the board has any desire to object to any specific permits at this time. No. So we'll move on to the next item.
Mr. Chairman, I do have that now.
Oh, you do? Okay, we'll circle back.
G,
All right, G, SE blueprint proposal, building department document scanning,
The amount, not to exceed 7,000.
not to exceed $7,000. I'll move to approve that.
Second.
okay, and to approve the SE blueprint proposal not to exceed $7,000. Trustee Alton, trustee Cole,
Yes.
and trustee Rivera.
Yes.
Cuyahoga County Healthy Urban Tree Canopy Grant Program Project Agreement, / awarded urban tree grant canopy program in the amount of $22,000. Shout out to, Service Director Williams, Administrator Yelenovsky. This is going to be a really great opportunity to enhance an existing green space, plant more trees. That's always good. So, I will move to approve the grant agreement. Second.
Okay, and to approve the grant agreement for the urban tree canopy grant program, trustee Alton,
Yes.
trustee Cole.
Yes.
And trustee Rivera.
Okay, Gary, I think we also need an amount for K per the discussion that we had. I think it's in your email, but I don't know that it's, am I missing it somewhere here?
I should have been in the back.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We can circle back too, that's totally fine.
I have the amounts here, or if you want to circle back, I can.
I don't know if we should read the amounts, but we can just make sure they're in the notes.
Jim, is that,
As long as it's in writing and it will be available to the public, it's fine without reading it.
okay. All right, and are the amounts adjusted 10% as we discussed?
I have them up in here for 10%, yes.
Okay, as long as it's in writing and we can put it as part of the minutes and the numbers are correct. Yes, you're comfortable?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I will move to approve the Public Service Department bonus for Tech One employees. Second.
Okay, and to approve the public service department bonus for Tech One employees, trustee Alton,
Yes.
trustee Cole,
Yes.
trustee Rivera.
Yeah.
And before we move on to the consent agenda or the resolutions, I'm actually going to move to amend the agenda. Jim, tell me if I'm not doing this correctly, but resolution 72, 2024, and resolution 73, 2024. Both of these, the appointments shall commence August 4th, 2024 with a corresponding lump sum salary adjustment by bonus payment covering 4 months. The reason for the bonus payments, both for the Tech Ones and for these now soon to be promoted Tech Twos, we're basically going through contract negotiations with the service department to get the workers into a new contract, and we just want to make sure we cover ourselves with the bonus payments, but don't get ahead of any wage adjustments that will be and should be the result of collective bargaining. So
That's the correct adjustment.
this is correct. Okay, so I'll move to amend 72 and 73 with the language described.
Second.
Okay, and to approve amending resolution 72 and 73, trustee Alton
Yes.
and trustee Cole
Yes.
and trustee Rivera.
Yeah.
Yes, and in case it wasn't clear verbally, this will be striking the compensation rate portion, right? So, yeah. So in lieu of, okay, consent agenda items available upon request. Consent agenda item A, special meeting minutes, June 27th, 2024. Please take a moment to review the minutes. Consent agenda item B, payment of bills and payroll, warrants, vouchers, and EOs.
I do have a,
Correction.
yeah, I do have a correction. Item K,
Okay,
item is a no, not an abstain.
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that needs to be reflected.
For K,
Yeah.
For K, yes.
you said no.
I said no, yeah.
That's correct. Choose enough, yeah. So that needs to be changed.
Oh, that's on the special
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I had abstained down there, so we'll change that to no.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
she definitely would. So I'll make sure that is reflected. Sorry about that. Any other changes?
No.
Okay. With that, I will move to approve the consent agenda with that correction to item A.
Second.
Okay, and to approve consent agenda items both A and B noting that we are going to change the abstain to a no. Trustee Alton,
Yes.
trustee Cole,
Yes.
and trustee Zare.
Yes,
Resolution 60, 2024, reappropriation / budget adjustment transfers. I'll move to approve.
second, oh, sorry.
I have trustee Cole, second that. And then to approve the resolution 060-2024, the reappropriation of budget adjustments and transfers, trustee Alton,
Yes.
trustee Cole,
Yes.
and trustee Zare.
Yes,
Resolution 61, 2024, expenditure resolution / department purchase orders. I will move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and to approve resolution 061-2024, the expenditure and department purchase orders, trustee Alton,
Yes.
trustee Cole,
Yes.
and trustee Zare.
yes,
Resolution 62, 2024, community cost share agreement by and between the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District and Olmsted Township procuring a mini excavator. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and to approve resolution 062-2024, the cost share agreement with NEORSD, trustee Alton,
Yes.
trustee Cole,
Yes.
and trustee Zare.
yes,
Resolution 63, 2024, agreement with Cuyahoga County for the installation of the Greenway Trail from Fitch Road to Stearns Road. And I believe this is just to let the project. Is that correct, Gary? Or is there, do you want to speak to this at all?
Sure, this is to have Cuyahoga County administer the project.
Yep.
So they'll officially be our local, public agency. They've administered numerous projects in the township, so.
And it's a county priority, so I think it makes sense. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and to approve resolution 063-2024, agreement with Cuyahoga County, installation of the Greenway Trail. Trustee Alton,
Yes.
trustee Cole,
Yes.
and trustee Zare.
yes,
Resolution 64, 2024, Olmsted Falls City Schools Resource Officer. It looks like there needs to be an R there in the agenda, so we'll need to correct that. Resource Officer MOU. I'll move to approve.
second, oh, sorry.
And I got trustee,
Second.
yeah, I had trustee Zare, second that. And to approve, the resolution 064-2024, the Homestead Falls City Schools Resource Officer MOU, trustee Alton,
Yes.
and trustee Cole,
Yes.
and trustee Zare.
Yes,
If it's all right with the board, I will move the nuisance abatements as a group. So resolutions F, B, and H. So resolution 65, 66, and 67, I'll move to approve.
second,
Okay, and to approve resolution 065, resolution 066, and 067, all nuisance abatements, trustee Alton
Yes.
and trustee Cole
Yes.
and trustee Zare.
yes,
Resolution 68, 2024, Public Service Department appoints full-time new tech hire Bradley Selva. I will move to approve.
Second.
And to approve resolution 068-2024, the Public Service Department appointment of Mr. Selva, trustee Alton
Yes.
and trustee Cole
Yes.
and trustee Zare.
yes,
Okay, resolution 69, 2024, Public Service Department appoints full-time new hire Tech One, Cordy, Gotchauer. I probably just butchered that, but I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and to approve resolution 069-2024, the Public Service Department appointment of full-time Tech One Cody Goshnauer. Trustee Alton,
Yes.
trustee Cole,
Yes.
and trustee Zare.
yes,
Resolution 70, 2024, agreement with City of North Olmsted and Olmsted Township for police and fire dispatch services. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and to approve resolution 070-2024, the agreement with North Homestead Dispatch Services. Trustee Alton,
Yes.
trustee Cole,
Yes.
and trustee Zare.
no,
Resolution 71, 2024, resolution amending development requirements for permanent parcel number 265-15-001, consistent with the adaptation of court-ordered variance and 64 lot plan. I believe this will allow for an additional retention basin. Gary, is correct?
That's correct. Yeah, I want to thank Jim for helping me with this one. This basically reduces their green space requirement for our zoning code. But in lieu of that, they're installing a retention basin because a retention basin technically is not considered green space.
Yeah.
This will be at no cost to the township that they're constructing this basin, so it just makes sense to go ahead and memorialize it with this amendment.
And this is an area that I think Stan Tech and the sewer district agree there needs to be a basin. I think as they flesh out what that basin looks like, we'll definitely make sure that the sewer district's involved. So I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and to approve resolution 071 two thousand twenty-four. Allowing a variance for retention basin, trustee Alton.
Yes.
Trustee Cole.
Yes.
And trustee Zare.
Yeah.
I will move again, if it's okay with the board, and resolution 72, 2024, and resolution 73, 2024, appointing, Jay Halco and, Jay Jarris to Tech 2 as amended by the board.
Second.
Okay, and to approve resolution 072 and 073. The public service department appointments, two individuals, effectives. As amended, trustee Alton,
Yes.
trustee Cole,
Yes.
trustee Zare.
Yes.
Okay, I believe we have one public comment not related to the agenda. And it's from Mr. Ralph Burton-Ashey. Always good to hear from Ralph. I think we spoke with her, unless Mary Lou, do you want to?
No. This,
Oh,
she.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you have a comment?
She did. She did. She brought it up. I gave it to you guys.
Nope.
Yeah, actually, maybe it got
Yeah, maybe it got stuck in the other. Sorry about that.
What is your name?
Yeah, that's just a comment.
No?
No, that's not it.
That's Michael's.
Too many papers up there.
Oh. It's in here.
Oh, God, I don't know about that. So what's my craziest problem? I think that was perhaps the other. I think. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, she turned it in, because I gave it. He looked at it. Okay.
All right.
I think I'm gonna need it.
Yeah, Sandy and Jim Reaney off of River Road.
Yes.
Welcome.
All right, so I'm going to do this. I'm gonna hand a couple. I didn't know how many to make of these, so I'm
That's fine.
gonna hand one to you because I think you might be part of this thing. So let's just do this and everyone who wants to look at this, I'm gonna get that to the first page.
Thanks.
Jim and Sandy Rennie, we live in Olmsted Falls. We have major safety concerns with neighbors who are just being they're just being unsafe, I guess. So this front picture, I know it looks a little odd, but the whole point of showing this is our backyard on July 3rd, 2024, just less than a month ago. And I'm pointing out this bounce house, which is sitting on our property. And right just beyond that, there's a big drop down to the next property. But what I'm going to show you, this was on July 3rd. Our son-in-law, Jeff, he also has a bounce house business. He's also a Strongsville police officer. And he left the bounce house at our house for a few days. And so that on the 7th, he was coming over on Sunday the 7th. And he said, blow it up so it can dry out by the time I get there. And so I'm out doing errands. My husband reaches out to me. He leaves me this message. And I turn my phone back up. The message says this. He talks about where I should park because Jeff is here now. So let's see.
Really loud. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Give me an update. Also, Jeff is here. So he's taking up the driveway. You can probably park up against the island. And man, the guns are going really loud today. Really loud. Can you hear that?
Okay, so that's happening. And that's at 1:24 on a Sunday afternoon.
Right, so then I go with my son-in-law in the back. So we can go check out, he's taking it down and he says, these holes weren't here before when I set this up. And now the holes are the size of about a quarter in the back of the bounce house. So
we have, the people who are shooting the guns live in the township, and I know they have the right to shoot their guns and everything else. But they're coming up into the
Yes.
shrapnel coming up into our property. And that's where the safety issue is coming in. And, we've talked to, Homestead Falls, Homestead Township, and the other thing, we're going through this process. We've found that if you look at the map part of it, Homestead Falls owns that property that is directly behind our house.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's a couple of places. And then when I found out that Homestead Falls owned that property, I went down to go and look to see what they had. And they had the makeshift, back, what they're shooting at.
That's not a proper backstop. No kidding.
So,
Nowhere near.
Well, I don't know what the proper backstop is.
It ain't that.
Yeah,
that, yeah.
so,
And what you need to realize is the properties, the three properties we're talking about, they are probably 30 feet below where we live. Our homes are way up here. This is down No Bottom is where they live. So if you look at this property, it's No Bottom is at the very bottom here.
Yeah.
And then it comes over here to where we are. But they have to go way down here. So whoever is shooting is not shooting straight ahead. They've got to be shooting up.
yeah.
And if you're looking at this, these are the three homes. They're all marked here. They all have their little squares around, right?
Yep.
Okay. If you are on your property shooting at a target, how are you hitting us way up here?
So,
You see where that's at?
Yeah.
Okay, so look here. So if you're on your property, they're not on their property. Well, this guy is the
Right.
one I'm concerned most with.
so we
I
don't
don't know
know,
exactly who they are.
we've had Homestead Falls Police there and I guess we don't want to sit there and every time we hear guns going off, call the police, because we don't want it to be like we're crying wolf every time, because we understand that, but it's a safety issue. We've got kids and kids and everything.
We have people playing in this. I mean, the neighbors' kids were just over playing in this before this all happened.
Yeah.
Anyone could die. He could have gotten killed that day. They were right back there when this was happening and they didn't even realize it. So how do we stop this? Are there codes? Are there ordinances for backstops? How do we protect ourselves, keeping these people on their property? We know for a fact, like Jim just said, these things that be on this back page, they're not on their property. They're back here. They're on Olmsted Falls property. And yes, they know about it. The cops, Chief Otis and I have spoken. They walk the property back there. All they can do is put up signs. They say, well, you just have to keep calling the police.
Yeah, they want us to keep calling
And say,
township
and
police.
so to
and
go
say-
down there, see who's doing it and catch them when they do it.
I'm kind of a little nervous about going down to other shooting.
No, I don't
So,
I don't want anything to do with this. So our whole point is we want to make the government
yeah. the
aware of
trustees
this
don't.
situation and what we can do. I don't know what we can do under being
Yeah,
here.
we really appreciate you being here, and I'm
Absolutely.
so sorry that this has happened. It's really pretty unbelievable to look at.
Yeah.
And I know that, we've talked about, firearms for a long time for a variety of issues in the township. We are governed by the Ohio Revised Code, and our hands are relatively tied in terms of what we can adopt. However, as Jim, you're welcome to, explain. I mean, there are at least guidelines about backstops that appear to be at play here. This is city property. I mean, yeah, to the extent that we can investigate and look into this.
I was told by Officer Blatnick, I believe it was Blatnick, that as far as he knew, there weren't any real codes or ordinances. It was just, it could be highly suggested.
Well, there's a code provision that defers to the Department of Natural Resources to regulate any shooting ranges. And even though this isn't like what you would think of as a shooting range, it qualifies as a private shooting range. And the wording of the code is suggestive like that.
Okay.
The recommendation is to follow a federal standard. It's not even anything that the ODNR actually themselves promulgated.
Is there,
But there are nuisance
And we can ask them to come out too, I would
Yeah.
think, and I don't see why we wouldn't do that.
There may be some trespass issues here.
Absolutely.
There are certainly problems with shooting into an occupied property. The police chief knows full well, though, the problem with that criminal statute is I think it has like a knowing element to it. So if it's just an errant thing, it may not be a criminal offense. And that's why the chief and his department's hands are tied frequently.
But is there anything that says if you are on a certain space with residents within this close distance, there's nothing?
I mean, we
Yeah,
would
sadly, there
advocate,
isn't.
we've talked about advocating for a change to state law saying if you're within X distance of a platted subdivision,
Yeah,
you can't, but that's, the state law on this issue is unbelievably out of touch.
yeah, what Riley's getting at is there's a really fine right line distinction between townships and municipalities. Municipalities that have constitutional home rule power frequently have an ordinance that you can't fire a firearm in the municipal limits. The townships just don't have that authority, and every time they approach the General Assembly through OTA or
Yeah,
other
to change
to
the
get
law.
that authority, out come the lobbyists that really get that knocked down.
So, I mean, on that note, I would definitely recommend, contacting people who represent you at the State House, because I personally feel that the law needs to be changed.
Yeah, we'd still
Because
have to
we
take
have,
that.
we have contacted
Do you know
state lawmakers and
We
and
talked
said,
about
"Hey, listen, I mean, I'm a gun owner myself, but I would never shoot in my backyard.
That's the
It's
thing.
irresponsible and outrageous. You shouldn't be doing it. I mean, common sense would tell you, if you live near people, you don't shoot. I mean, but there are people that just don't have it. They just think, I have my right to do it, and I'm gonna do it. To hell with everybody else. And I'm so sorry about that. And we really did try. When I first came on the board, I really, really tried to work with state legislatures to listen, just so that, you know what I mean? Subdivisions that are houses on top of each other, they shouldn't be, and you've got, 200 feet or whatever, you can shoot, literally, you know what I mean? It's outrageous, insanity. It's irresponsible, but our hands we have been fighting this fight, 8.5 years.
I mean, we'll have the law director look at it and
Yeah.
get with the chief, and we'll do whatever we can, but just in terms of, we're at the mercy of the Ohio Revised.
We are.
But
So you should, I highly encourage you to talk to your state law.
But if you're on the township property and you're shooting into a city's property, that's gotta be something that should be.
Yeah, are these on,
That's
Those are on
not Homestead Falls
I
property.
mean, you'd think that's trespassing,
you would
period.
think
Those
that
are-
Otis
it
Rogers
is.
should be having a problem.
Well, he knows about it now,
Okay,
and we had someone over today too.
yeah.
But yeah, those things are sitting right
I
about
think they have to,
here.
So they're,
I think the city has to
Yeah.
properly say,
But
they may not even know that's
this
Homestead.
is all, this whole,
this whole block is city.
this is
These
all false.
are
Yes.
the township folks, or these,
Yes,
homestead,
these three, yes,
Or
they're all
township.
down in the hole, yeah.
Somebody needs to prep, maybe it's in conjunction.
If they're back down to your falls.
Right.
That cease and desist that these people cannot
Yeah, I think that's
trespass
the
on
best.
property.
yeah, they need to.
That
But
will be a
I mean, I don't
criminal
think
offense
so. I
if they
think
trespass.
It's
Cease and
there's two
desist.
people, the two
Because
people
they're
that
talking
live down
about
there,
putting
that
up
have
no
homes down there.
trespassing
Yeah, but the
signs.
property in
Yeah, but since we know
The
who
two
is
of them.
doing it,
Okay.
that there's no home.
directly put them on notice,
People
not just a
that
fake
fall,
notice on
bought the
sign.
property,
But
but they
Homestead
didn't
Falls,
live on
Didn't
it.
see it.
law
They don't
director have to do
even-
that, it's their
And
property.
it makes
And I
us
don't
take a
think-
call
I mean,
to them to
We
say,
can honestly,
yeah,
they're just
call
shooting
them and say,
trees
hey,
and
this is going
birds or
on.
whatever.
They're
I
not
mean,
allowing the shooting, right?
Really.
Well,
That- no,
That's what I
absolutely
said.
not.
They didn't know
We
about
went to
They-
the park,
yes.
it's like,
So you let them.
Correct.
They
Until
should be
this is
willing.
all-
said until somebody gets
Correct.
hurt or damaged property.
I'm sure.
before-
So maybe I
I
don't
know
know.
it.
You-
That's why
It is
state
horrible.
laws, so.
They don't think
you
it
know,
could
you
help
have to
out.
wait for something
And
like
then
that.
Gary
Yeah.
has your
No,
contact
good.
information, we can let you know.
That would be,
Yeah, can we,
that would be so great.
Gary, Jim, get their information,
We have her
make it a
contact
priority.
Yeah, we can call their law director, and see if they can do something.
Did you leave your contact information or?
No, it's not on here, but it's on the one sheet that I did fill out that you lost. And then,
Yeah, I'll step out.
Lost and found, and you still lost it? Okay.
No, there it is.
The one number, it's on there, right? Yeah. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I'm gonna keep this. Jim, can you just take down their information, make it?
Yes.
So I can't apply the city laws.
Right. But if they're in homestead falls property, then that'll be.
Yeah.
All right, folks, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I know Ralph, you've got, comment.
It's more of a question. We had the state, so-called stakeholder meeting, very, about various plans for the town. So, please get a, that's very important. I was wondering where we're going with that. Where is the Ranger property development going on?
That's just south of, you know where Friendship gas station is?
Yeah.
It's south, just south of that, and it'll spread out.
Yeah, is that the one?
Yep.
Okay, so that's within that range, we're talking about for the town center. So just yeah, but I'm wondering where the town center stuff is going to, then Mark mentioned at the meeting, if it's, from what they're describing, it's a little more, than, there's a little more opportunity than to, street lights and, and flowers. We're talking about anything substantial, so where are we going with that? Doing so.
Well, I think that's part of these meetings, that you are, and I appreciate your time and your effort, and I appreciate you attending the first meeting, that you're gonna help guide them.
Well, there's been no follow-up. For example, I asked Jeremy to send me the guide, that company's plan, and I got it. Well, yeah, Riley sent it right away.
Oh,
But
okay.
he doesn't follow up with any of that, the contact.
Yeah, we're paying Jeremy, we're paying OHM. We need to make sure that they're following.
Yeah, he didn't follow up with all, he just doesn't send me some other information too. There's been no plans for follow-up. I realize it's very informal.
Yeah.
But I just wonder where we're going with it.
No, that's.
And the other thing is the township, they're paying these people money, right? They gotta be doing something.
No, I agree, Ralph, and I would appreciate if you work through me, I'll make sure we get everything you need and stuff like that,
Well, just
so.
whatever.
I don't know if you tried to call him or if you emailed him, maybe sometime. Okay,
I haven't found.
maybe he didn't write it down, so I don't know, I can't answer for that, but regardless,
But
we could get you whatever you need.
No, it's not me, it's anybody on that committee.
Absolutely, that's why we invited you guys to be part of the panel, and it's a
We need that
very,
information for the next, if there's ever another meeting.
there will be, absolutely.
And the fact,
That's all.
they need to know that, understand that, and if the
Oh, but I-
OHM hasn't
Talking about
communicated that. they need-
Building department, I do want to add to what you're saying, I did have occasion to submit a application recently, and it's going very well.
Oh, great.
It's always working out very well, thank you.
Wait, did you get your permit yet, or?
It will happen.
Okay.
Well, thanks for taking us out on an optimistic,
Note there, Rob, we appreciate it. And can we, note the follow-up with OHM so that that committee is fully informed of when their meeting starts, that'd be great. With that, unless there's anything else from the board, I will move to adjourn, this meeting at, 9:25. I'm sorry, this is so late, guys.
Okay, to adjourn, trustee Alton.
Yes.
Trustee Cole.
Yes.
And trustee Bear.
Yeah.
Meeting adjourned.
Free to move about the country.
Brian, I think the only one I need to sign is this one.
Yeah, there's a multitude of things.
yeah. Why don't we get you started first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
It's something, a zoning violation, where letters were sent out to separate letters. Supposedly at some point, it's being referred to legal action. Who do I speak to as far as that legal action? Truck that's abandoned on Rainbow Drive. in front of a property.
That one is not approved yet, but I'm sure it's.
Sorry, I did